Everyone dreams of living an uncommon life, and the best asset you have to achieve your dreams is you. Welcome to the Uncommon Wealth Podcast. We're going to introduce you to people who are living uncommonly. We're also going to give you some tools and strategies for building wealth and for pursuing an uncommon path that is uniquely right for you.
Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the Uncommon Wealth Podcast, where I'm your host, Phillip Ramsey. Today we have a repeat offender, as I like to call him. This would be the first time that we had somebody come back from the past that has been on the podcast and that has come back to be able to give us an update on things, the business, how things are going. And that guest is Eden and Gray, Jon and Hanna Shiplett. This would be Jon's third time on the podcast, though, by the way. Okay,
so like repeat offender.
Right. So I can't wait to get into it. They are amazing people. You know, and if you ever listen to this and you've listened to the past, you just know that they've got a heart of gold. They serve people well. They're really good at what they do. Design and Build is basically Eden and Gray is their company. The last time we had them on our show, you ready for this? August 18th, 2018.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Audrey was a baby.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't realize it was that long.
I know.
We were in the Brown House townhouse.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but where you were at, and really what we're going to do is more like comparison then versus now. So you got to like start kind of thinking about your business in 2018. So we're going to first just take the first couple minutes to just like, where were you in 2018 with Eden and Gray, if you can remember, and then we're going to kind of flash forward of like what happened the last 7 years and what's going on.
Oh man,
I've got
you're
going to
be the best
already.
one to probably recall.
I don't know. This is like a little triggering. It was a dark time. No, it was a great time because it was at the beginning. But we were resetting everything, and actually, Uncommon Wealth Partners was a huge part of that. They were helping us rebuild our foundation financially and with our business. And so we were renting at the time. All of our babies were young, and they were shoved in one bedroom so that we could use the spare bedroom as our office. We were doing one of our first new builds, and I remember showing the clients all the samples pulled out of the back of my CRV into a Starbucks of finishes for a 3,000 square foot house.
Because we got the deal, by the way. That's amazing.
Built that house. And we had no showroom, and we were just going for it.
Well,
and a random person showed up and was like, "Can I be your first employee?" And we said, "Sure." And they were not even from our field. So
that was soon after we had actually merged everything together, right?
Yes. No, that was like the year we did that.
Yeah. So yeah, we were really starting from scratch in some ways. Mm-hmm. At least Eden and Gray Design Build was the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes. So. Yeah.
But momentum was like strong. I felt like in the podcast, your enthusiasm was very high, and like things were going in the right direction. Mm-hmm. Like I felt like that was the first time you guys pulled your boats together and started rowing in the same direction with Eden and Gray.
For sure. It was a moment of like, I remember that year the word was focus. And so we were just given instruction by a lot of good advisors to focus on kitchen, bath, and doing the design build all in one roof. So it was an exciting time. It was just like hard. So.
Yeah.
Did you guys have a vision then of what you wanted it to be? Do you remember that?
I think we had some clarity on what we wanted, but really no idea how to get there. And as you recall, just like over the last
map.
That's what I mean. It's just like, as we look back now, it's like, geez, there's so many hard moments along the way, and like you're like, oh shoot, won't do that again, or like I don't know, just I mean everyone experiences those things in life, but I do feel like I remember when we like merged everything together that there was clarity in what we wanted to build. Like I could kind of get a vision for what it was going to be someday, but I don't know. I mean, it was just sort of like you wake up every day and just
Groundhog's Day a little bit, but also it's brand new.
Yeah. And you kind of realize at that point, like we had enough projects or enough momentum to know that we were in the right lane, like that this was what we should do with our lives, but not quite sure exactly how far we could take it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So how long has Eden and Gray been in business? Like the brand?
kind of since 2012, because that's when the design portion of things started. And then Jon will simultaneously, I kind of like to say that I took Jon's name and then he took mine.
Yes, that's right.
I already had the design business, and his building business was happening simultaneously. And so then when we merged them together, we went ahead and stuck with my name. But I would say that we were both like adjacent to what we do now, but not
So to clarify,
partnered.
you got married, took
Got married
Shiplett,
twice.
and then got married again, and then you took Eden and Gray. Your company before was True North Builders, and then the Eden and Gray was only the design part, and then you merged them together, right?
Yes, and I will say it was a very hobby business in the beginning. I mean, my work that I was doing from home was like, I started with a Groupon, and it was like color consultations, and it was very humble in the beginning.
But you both are amazing at what you did. So like when you unified it, you could see how it could start really getting traction.
Yeah, we're better together.
Oh, for sure.
Clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, it's been good.
Yeah, it's good. Then you only have to market for one company.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. One bank account.
All right, so here's my question. So what was your ideal client type back in 2018? And then we can talk about your ideal client type now.
I don't know.
I guess back then it was sort of whoever would trust us to do their project. But we always really enjoyed kitchens from the beginning. I don't know, more client specific.
To be honest, that's been a hard one to like nail down. We've tried a bunch of different sort of avenues within obviously design build, but it's been hard to niche down to where, okay, this is actually really our sweet spot. So I think in the beginning it was, like Hanna was saying, you're just sort of trying on a bunch of different things. You're capable of doing a lot of stuff, and that is
The death of
the danger,
right.
of it.
Right.
So, and as a business owner, I think it's scary to niche down because you just feel like you're limiting that funnel.
Right.
And so that's been kind of a series of conversations and a series of like, okay, I guess we're going to like only stick to this, but almost every time I think, or every time it's like so much better because you can focus. Because you focus on what is really the sweet spot, and then it's just way more efficient.
Right.
And I do think that like, as we've defined the niche client or who we want to serve now, it's sort of like you look for patterns in what you've provided for service. And we discovered that communication, whether that be a visual communication with our renderings or communication on keeping clients updated on their projects, like that was really what we have invested in and poured into. So we want to serve the clients that appreciate that. And so that kind of ends up in that white glove service. And then the types of projects that we found that we really do well with and like. And so that's kind of how we've envisioned our clients now.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's changed immensely. That being said, I do think that when you're so talented and you start niching down, I think the fear of niching down is that you just get repetitive in the same like kitchen. Like it's just then, but the efficiency is so much easier. But you can see how you can get pigeonholed of like, this is just the kitchens we do, like where you guys now are like, okay, we're doing a bathroom. Like then Hanna and her creativity can then, okay, all right, let's do this. And so you can stay a little bit more nimble with just your creativity sometimes when you niche down, like all we do is bathrooms or kitchens, you can fear that you're going to just do the same thing repetitive.
I think that's the cool thing about getting older. Like actually today is my birthday.
It's your birthday, Hanna?
Did not know this.
Okay. Yes, I did. Totally did. Are you kidding me?
I know.
Happy birthday. The first thing you want to do on your birthday is do a podcast at 8 o'clock on Friday.
Actually,
dilly.
But that being said, like getting older and then seeing what you're good at and this whole idea of niching down and what you're going to focus on, as you've put other systems in place, then it's exactly what you're saying. You get to have more fun. It's like now in a kitchen, it's not just let's, place these cabinets in certain spots. You're always learning. It's like, hey, what if we did this cool detail? Or you can do an integrated sink with the same material. And then how does that interact with the windows? And you just get to take it 10 steps further every time.
That's cool.
So I do love when we're a repeat podcast attendance here. Like I love when we have repeat clients because then it's like, okay, we took the best care of you we could have the first time around, but we have 50,000 new things that we've come up with that serve our clients better now, and I'm glad you're back, and let's do this again.
And a new process, so they can feel it, be more efficient.
Yeah,
right?
That's fun.
That's good. Okay. All right, so we have the ideal client type, I would say now is more white glove. Like that's what I would say when I kind of see the trajectory of your business. It's like, no, we want to get around the people that are used to this high service model, and they're okay to spend a little bit more money, right?
Yeah, we're here to bring convenience and like take it off someone's plate. That gives us the most satisfaction to know that they can do what they do best, and then we can come over here and say, we do this every day, let us handle
That's right.
this thing.
That's right. And I think that's so hard to do. If like, hey, we need to level up our clientele. Oh, it's so hard to do. But once you do it and you have the money, and then you can give them the experience that you know that you want to give them, it's like, okay, now we're really starting to take the momentum forward.
Yeah.
Instead of like, okay, well, I'll take this client. It's really not our ideal client type, and we're going to do this project. We're not really getting the efficiencies that we need and the money that we need, the margins. And then it's like no one's getting the best experience here. You know,
Totally.
I feel like that's my life.
Yeah.
Okay, working on that. Okay, all right. So, what do you think the biggest challenge that you've hit to this day since 2018? Because I think 2018 we had our own challenges of just trying to get this airplane off the runway and into the sky. Now you're up on the air. Like, have you hit any turbulence? Like, what is it that you guys would say is probably the biggest challenge? And I want to say this because I think that's one of my favorite things about owning a business is how hard it is and like the refining nature of it. And so when I say challenge, it is a challenge, but it also, that's where I learn the most is when it's a hard thing that I'm like, I don't want to deal with that, but it's because I'm probably selfish and I just want to move on. But it does help me to just take back and like, look at this issue. What is the real heart issue behind this? And then what can I do to lead in, I'd say, a godly manner in this way to be able to kind of move the ball forward. So what would that be for you guys in this season?
I mean, to use your analogy, I mean, I actually use the same one a lot, where a business, you're like building the plane while it's in the air, you know? And like, that's the biggest challenge is like, in an ideal world, we could just pause, fix all the problems, and then go back to work. But like, you're dealing with just the hot items of the day while trying to build a business. I think that overall, that's probably the biggest challenge.
Right.
And there's a lot of things within that, of course.
Right.
I think too, as a business owner, like in the beginning, it was just Hanna and I, and you're just trying to get the work done. You know, you're trying to sell jobs and complete the project. I think as you add team members and structure and like, okay, how do we make this thing actually fly on its own is like just a new set of skills as a business owner, as a leader that like you haven't had to deal with before. So I think it's like, I think being in a position of leadership in a business is difficult because you're obviously expected to be the leader, but you've never done it before. So there's just this like ongoing trial and error.
Right.
And you can read as many books as you want, but like some of those gray areas are so difficult to deal with, you know?
It's like the math problem that the professor does on the board, and then he gives you another problem, and you're like, oh my gosh, what? Like, that's nothing like what you just did. Or
can't use those numbers.
That's right.
No, I agree with that completely. I think that when I think about the stress or like the turning in the stomach moments that we've had, they've been around. I think I'm a people pleaser, and so that's been my refinement. At first, it was with the clients, just being really hands-on, whether I was doing the project management or doing the design work and just making sure that they're happy. And it's true now that we have a team, it kind of shifts because your day that was spent doing the project and focusing on that shifts to, how do I motivate those around us, and how do we keep the culture that we want to have of, just like true teamwork and having each other's backs, because like Jon said, you just haven't done it before. So it's just,
I want to frame this in. So in 2018, you didn't have any employees.
We had like one,
maybe an intern.
We had like I guess I was like imagining the interviews that happened. We had someone approach us, and so we had one other person that we onboarded, but that really wasn't from the field. I mean, they were like, came from a totally different industry and was like, I'm interested in your business. And we're like, sounds good. We need help. So, and then mostly us.
Flash forward to today. How many employees do you have?
There's
12 with including us, 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So let's talk about that, because when it was 2, you guys know your brand because you guys are the brand.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
As you guys add staff, how do you create that culture and the brand that you want, has your brand changed with the people that you've hired? Or like, obviously we don't want that, but the truth is like, it probably has happened. So let's talk about just the culture and the brand evolving over time as you step in new people to help you kind of run the company or do the day-to-day operations.
Yeah, I think it's like the niching that we've, like, once you determine your menu of services and who your target market is and who you want to work with, then you start to, as you're interviewing, you kind of pick people that have that level of seriousness that you do. So, the team that is working with us and sticks around, like, I'm very proud of the people that we have by our side, and they tend to be people who are willing. I mean, they care about the end product, and they are willing to be professional and be quick to solve problems. And that's kind of the people that stick around with us are the ones that come with solutions, not the ones that dwell on a problem. And so that I think that's super fundamental to the back end of the brand. And really, it's a natural thing. You get people who are supporting that, and then people that come that don't jive with that don't usually hang around.
Stick around.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's a good way to say it, but the brand is something we're committed to, and so we really don't allow for it to change.
Right.
Yeah, I would say, clarity in what the vision is and who we are and who we aren't.
Right.
It goes a long way.
Right.
I think, like, if we are constantly kind of grabbing at multiple things at once, I think it
sends the wrong message.
It definitely sends the wrong message to the team. And I mean, everyone knows, I think individually we could present two different types of projects to the team right now, and they would know which one we would take and which one we wouldn't.
Okay, that's a huge compliment. Like, that's a big deal. A lot of people wouldn't say that.
Yeah, I should make sure, but no, it's clear. We've had conversations about it where they're like, this is probably not a good fit for us. And so
interesting, because when you can start having a staff that understands that, then they can also start pegging things when they're out and about, and they can almost be like little salesmen of like, oh, they're at a party and the kitchen is like, oh, I just hate this kitchen. Like, well, that's we do that,
right.
So
well, and
cool.
I would say too, like, I was just talking to one of our clients last night, and they were complimenting how clean the carpenters. I meant to share this with you, so I'll just share it with you now. We don't have to talk about it later, but twofer.
It's your birthday; you can do whatever you want.
That's true. I'm off to Barnes and Noble after this. But they were saying how the job sites were so clean and how comfortable they felt with our staff in their home, and those are the kind of moments where they're like proud parent moments.
Yes.
Like the same thing happens when your kids are like, oh my gosh, this is so cool and wonderful to hear, and we always want to go back and share that. But I'm sure that we have failed and will continue to fail in some ways around this, as we've, when you go back 5 years, like every 2 years it looks so different, and we're moving in a direction where it is a very dynamic business and process to grow a business. And so even when people interview, it's like, listen, this is like not startup, but like close to startup. So expect changes that are only going to be motivated by better service to our clients, or better plans for you guys. If we can provide backups, that's one of the reasons why we want to grow the team, so that everyone has someone that can back them up if they want to go on vacation and create a better work-life balance. And so now I'm getting off topic, but it's my birthday. So
that's really good. That's really good. Okay. Average project cost back then.
Oh boy.
2018 average. So just kind of like throw it out there. And then I want to know average like cost now.
What was it back then?
Well, I think there's like design fees to look at, and then there's project.
Yeah.
Design fees $4.
Would be like $500 maybe.
Groupon
free. Just tell me I do a good job and I'm paid. And now the average design proposal is going to be between like $2,000 to $10,000, and then bigger if it's a new construction project. But and then I'll let you answer the construction one.
I mean, construction average was probably
like, just take a kitchen
in the like 20 to 30 range, maybe.
Okay, back then or now?
For a kitchen, you think? I would say 20 to 40.
Okay,
for a kitchen back
40
then,
maybe.
Yeah, we'd be super excited about the 40.
Back then. Okay, good. And then where are we at now?
Average now is probably in the anywhere from like 75 to 150.
Okay.
is, I mean, now
for a kitchen.
Yeah. I mean,
there
we
are
definitely
bigger
have
projects.
bigger projects, but yeah, that's probably
Average.
like,
Okay.
If you're doing a whole home or a new construction, those are kind of their own thing. And we usually have 1 or 2 of those going at a time.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're pretty big.
Yeah.
But
Isn't that crazy? How you just level.
And I will say COVID played a role in that. Like, just, I mean, you
everything
think about
did
your
go up.
grocery prices,
Right.
you know, and then
Right.
just put that in a house.
Gosh, isn't it crazy how you, that's
Yeah.
true. How you can see God's hand like kind of work through your business throughout
boy.
the years of
It's
like
all him.
things, how he's orchestrated it. Like you're like, I'm not that smart.
Oh, yeah. There's even like moments where programs have come across our desk that we weren't looking for, that it's like, this would be so much better, or different like staff that have shown up at just the right time, where you're like, you look back and you go, wow, that was a game changer.
Right.
So,
Okay. I didn't have this on the thing, but last time I listened to our podcast, I've listened to it yesterday. So you guys were really juggling a lot personally, kids, all that stuff.
not like now.
Yeah. Right. Well, what are you doing now? I have a feeling like you always think, this is me at least, if I could just be as busy as I was last year, I would be doing fine. But last year at this time, I'm like, I'm too overwhelmed. I can't believe I have so much on my plate, right? You always feel like you were better last time. And then you get to this point and you're like, I'm so much
and you
busier.
always do the thing like, in 2 weeks, it's going
to be better.
It's going to be fine.
It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
This is just, I got the light of the tunnel. Never.
Never.
So tell me about how your personal life has been, or has it been the same from like 2018 to now? It just like seems like they're bigger problems.
It is way different.
Yeah, it is.
I can think of a lot of different. You go ahead though. I've talked a lot.
Well, there's like 2 sides of this coin. There's like, we've increased our family size since the last one. So we've got 4 kids.
And last time you only had 3?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I would say we've also become numb to some of the smaller issues.
Yeah.
So
pacifier on the ground, you just blow it off. And
so there's more going on, but like it doesn't feel as stressful maybe because we're just not as rocked by certain things. So.
And they're a little older, so they can kind of like self-manage.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That is a game changer
It really
for sure.
is. Like, they can put on their shoes.
Yeah.
Dude, when they could first put on their seatbelt, I was like, oh my gosh,
You're
we
not
figured
running
this
around.
out. We're okay. You know, like, we're going to be okay.
We made it.
Yeah, we made it. Yeah. Oh man, all these flashbacks. I have to share one thing that just, in the townhouse 2018, like
Brown house?
Brown house townhouse, we had all 3 kids in car seats at that time. And all of them. And so when we got it, and then we couldn't park in the garage because we refused to pay for storage.
Yes,
so our garage
all of it was there. I remember the boxes.
Yeah, it
The
was
boxes.
there. Yeah, I actually showed, I think, your mom some samples out of that.
Oh,
so
Mom.
all
She's
the things
the
I did.
best.
She's the best. She's stuck with me.
She sure has.
But when I would load up the kids, there were no trees because it was like New West Des Moines, and the wind wall was like brutal, and it was the middle of
rough.
winter, and I was just running around the car to every single door that car had to offer to buckle all those kids in,
Yep.
just being like, this is the price I pay.
Yeah.
And then now I get to park in the garage. So I guess that's the biggest difference between 2018
Okay.
and
Yeah.
2020.
Good.
But
Okay, sorry about that. That was a random. Okay,
no, that was good.
Let's talk about the processes then versus now. Like, what are the client's process, or what kind of processes you have now? I mean, that's not easy to build, by the way. Mm-hmm. And it's not my favorite thing to build processes, but when you have them, it does feel like things run smoother and you can hold people accountable to them. So what did you have when it was just you two versus now? Has it changed, or have you tried to kind of emulate that with just other people?
I mean, it's changed a lot.
A lot. Yeah.
You know, in the beginning, you know, when it's just Hanna and I, like, we're sort of just in constant communication every day about what's happening on each of the jobs. And at that time, too, you're only dealing with the jobs that you can handle and that you need to pay everything. So there's just not as much going on, even though there is a lot going on, but only for 2 of us, right? So we've increased the team to offload some of these things and make it a better experience for the customer.
Right.
But but that means also more revenue, and so there's more projects. It's
More expenses
impossible.
as well.
At this point, like if everyone left, like there's no way we can just us take on everything
All
that
the
we're
projects
doing.
you have, right?
So our systems and processes have to be so clear for all this to work, because you're taking, especially, I mean, I know other businesses, we're not necessarily unique, but we're taking a very custom like project and trying to run it through a system that catches everybody's project.
Yes.
Which is just hard to do. You know, like you have like certain things that are repetitive on each project, but like there's always stuff on that are unique to each person.
Absolutely.
So it's just been difficult to try to capture everything along the way, but that's not very specific, but I don't know.
Well, guess who has the specifics? I'll speak to design. Like, I remember with our design plans, I like have tried so many things over the years, and my brain really does work like type A and then total creative. So I can just bipolar switch between the two of them. And so in the beginning, it was like, here's this design process. And I would just be like, when I felt like it was time to send concepts, I would send concepts. And when the design was done, I would send the design within a reasonable amount of time. At
internal
some
clock.
Point, it like dawned on me that we needed to put designs in a schedule. And so now we like send the client, like, here's when you're going to expect this. Here's when we need your feedback. Here's what's going to be the next step. They get a whole document that shows everything that's going to happen. They have a calendar just the same as they will when they're in construction that says this is when everything's happening. So that is great because then we know if we have 10, 20 design projects going at a time, when can we start those projects so that way it can be consistent and it's not random. And so that's a huge thing. And then I will say that fourth child that we talked about adding, for me personally, as like a business owner and as a mom, and just two things that are both growing, there was this need because I wanted to take my first ever maternity leave, which I had never taken because we were just going with all the babies. And
had to feed those babies.
Yes. So it forced me in particular, who's not one to easily give up control, to hire people to do the jobs that I do, and to then make systems. And this is kind of funny too. There's all these training videos that I'm redoing because we switched a program over. And all the other training videos were me at like 9 months pregnant. So my face is just pretty big and like, it's not looking that great. I was like, I'm glad I'm remaking these videos. But it was a sign to like, it forced me out. And so it was almost like having a little mini death because I was gone for 3 months. And
which
so
is
you're
really
like,
good.
It's so good because then you just go, this is how we do it. And here are training videos. And then you don't have to touch it again.
Right. And then you had like this looming deadline.
Yes. Yeah.
That you had to get it done, which I hate deadlines, but like I love them because I know somehow it's going to get done. Yeah. And this was probably the same.
And this is like the cutest deadline we've ever had. So cute.
I agree.
So
that's great. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to, just because of time, I'm going to skip that one. I was going to talk about priorities. Like, what are the priorities now versus then?
That's good because we don't know. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, okay, back then you talked about your best and your favorite project. What would it be now? What would you say would be your best and favorite?
I don't know. You go first.
Okay. There are the ones where the client, and this is happening more and more, and this is what we're like working towards, but where they go, I'm busy, you do your thing. So it's like any project that fits that mold. And because I know we can deliver on that. I know that we can, like the bigger projects are also just exciting because they're kind of a challenge. I think you're doing stuff, coming down the road, and those are always fun to get, or something that's kind of weird. It's like, okay, this will be a fun design challenge. Actually, I won't talk about it because it's not signed yet, but like I have one in the pipeline that I'm pretty excited about. And it just gets my wheels turning. So that's exciting to me at this point.
Yeah.
I think my answer is way more practical. Like working on slightly newer homes is just, it's nice for the guys. It makes like the project go a little bit easier. We definitely have a lot of projects that we work on older homes, but it's just, there's a lot more unknown. So it makes those difficult. So I don't know. Like I said, my answer is way more practical.
It's funny because I feel like when we first started, business owners start, like I feel like this analogy kind of holds true. It's like you're playing in a t-ball field, right? And you get a base hit on a t-ball field, and you're like, yeah, that was great, right? And then your arenas or your stadiums, they start getting bigger. Your fields get a little bit bigger. Then you play the high school field or junior high field, and it's a little bit bigger, and you get a base hit, you get a double, like, oh, that's a big deal. And then as your field, like pretty soon your field's pretty big, and your doubles are like what it used to be like a grand slam, a game-winning grand slam.
Maybe I'll change my answer a little bit.
Oh, I
had another.
I do enjoy.
Come on,
when there has been a big transformation in a home, where it's
the before and after.
Yeah, like we just did one where we took out a very large section of this wall, and we had to like restructure the house and do a bunch of
load
stuff.
bearing.
And, yeah. And the result was like pretty impactful.
Awesome.
It was like, whoa, this is such a big difference. And it was so much better for them. It was just,
did the clients see it as it was happening, or was it like the before and after kind of thing where they didn't see it until they saw it? Or did they were living in the house?
No, they were living in the house. So, I mean, they could see it, but I mean, they,
had lots of moments of whoa.
The moment we actually took down the wall,
down.
it was like, wow, this really is so different. It just changed the dynamic of that level, you know.
That's cool.
So, like, that stuff is really fun.
I will say this kind of about like our projects now and then, because as you were referencing the older homes and those being kind of difficult to work on, we worked on a lot of older homes in the beginning. We do, for some reason, get kind of this one pocket of a suburb that we end up in these houses a lot. And they're ones that have a little bit of character. But what I like about the newer homes, and even the home that we're in now, is that it's like you're taking something and adding character to it. And I was just thinking about the way things get built now versus like in Europe or, you know, even 100 years ago in America. Like they just don't make houses like they used to exactly. And so to be able to take homes and kind of insert the character where it wasn't there before is pretty fulfilling.
That's cool.
To be like, okay, we've taken kind of something cookie cutter and made it not cookie cutter anymore. And now it's about the person that lives there.
Gave the character
that's
back.
pretty cool.
Yeah. That's a good answer. Nailed it on that one.
Second time around the block, you know.
It's your birthday.
It's my birthday.
Everything you should say today, it's my birthday.
It's my birthday, so of course I did something awesome.
Okay, so biggest project to date then, which was around 70,000, I think I heard you say. But you can, and then biggest project to date now, like where are we at?
We've got one right now that I think we landed at like 525.
Wow.
Somewhere around there.
That's a pretty big field you're playing in.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
When you got that, would you be like, what was your response? Was like, oh yeah, I can't wait, or like, oh boy, here we go. I think we can do it.
It depends on what it depends on what it is. We've got another one that has not signed that's larger than that, but
Complicated.
it's complicated, you know.
So that one's you're kind of like itching your head, like, okay, we can do this, but it's going to be, it's going to stretch us.
Yeah, I have full confidence in our ability to do it. It's just,
It won't be easy.
it's not like a straightforward deal.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of coordinating with
Right.
with the process. So anyway.
Wouldn't you say too, like, because we've been growing the business, that has become a project of its own. And so there's also less of a need to scratch the itch of doing something different, just because John and I are kind of like, you know, need to keep it exciting in life. Like that kind of helps to then, you know, take on projects that make sense for the business because you have another project to do.
Yeah, I will speak to that a little bit because I just listened to our podcast yesterday. There was a lot of like, okay, we want some kind of residual nature to try to invest in. And I feel like that noise has kind of softened a little bit as you guys have put in all your attention and energy in Eden and Gray. And I feel like that's paid off. That has paid off to just stay. How do we continue to grow? You know that's probably your highest rate of return at this point. But there's ways that you can maybe scratch your itch of other things that you want to do within the business that help it kind of grow even bigger. So I feel like that's kind of been cool to watch from the sideline.
It is risky. It's even when you talk about the ideal client, but like putting all your eggs in one basket versus diversifying and how you do your investments. You know,
That's right.
So, yeah.
Okay. What would you say to yourself if you could talk to your 7-year ago self now? These are good questions.
Yeah.
When you
So
have to
good.
stop and think, I feel like, okay, that's a decent
I want to be
question.
careful because I don't want to scare her.
I think, well, for me, you know, I think when we started hiring.
Okay, wait. I want before you say it, I want you to say you're talking to yourself 7 years ago, not Hannah.
Right.
And then after that, I want you to then talk to Hannah 7 years ago.
Oh, yeah, this is fun.
And then you have to do the vice versa.
Okay.
So, gosh, I just made this question like 7 times harder.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
I can handle it on my birthday.
I would have said to myself that when hiring, I think I had the perspective that I've hired the person to do the job. I don't need to check back in. This is like, like you have your task, do it.
Yeah.
And I'm done.
Yep.
You know,
Right.
I've since that time have understood that like,
That's not
the
great leadership.
importance for leadership is so unbelievably necessary, you know, or
right.
good leadership, I should
Right.
say. Because it, you know, as we were talking, like you're always in a position of leadership. You're just either doing it really well or not doing it at all. So,
That's good.
so yeah, I would have said, take more time to consider, and be prepared for, you know, having to guide people along in this
Touch
process,
base.
and
Yep.
yeah,
And then continue to lead.
create some systems for it, and
Yep.
and check-ins and that sort of thing, and just, I mean, you don't know what you don't know, so when you get into it, and you discover those things, you go, oh shoot, like this
After
actually
the
is a
fact.
real thing.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So
That's a good piece of advice. Okay, now you're going to talk to Hanna, and then you're going to have to talk.
Reverse it.
Yeah, reverse it.
So what would you tell little Hannah, beautiful 7-year younger Hannah?
Not yet. Don't answer that yet. You just got to think about it. Yours is now. You're talking to Hanna.
I'm talking to Hannah.
Yep.
Okay. I'd probably say get out of the way as much as you can, because your husband and your team is capable. And if like they need to have their own journey, and
Yep.
like I tend to want to protect people and keep them happy.
Yeah.
That's not best for people.
Right.
And like some of our coaches have said, like clear is kind. So just, I think I have not been clear in my desires for things before, just because I don't want to hurt people's feelings.
Yeah.
And so if I could have learned that sooner, I think it would save me some heartache.
Yeah. So basically, have a baby for quicker.
Yeah, have more babies.
Yes. To step yourself out of the business
Is really what happened.
Is when it happened,
Eva just
right?
was late, so
Yeah.
it's good.
Okay.
yeah, I mean, my advice to young Hannah would have been not too dissimilar to that. I mean, we talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
But just, you know, not taking things too personally. This, you know, it is just business at the end of the day, some of this stuff, you know.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and creating clear expectations. But there was something else specific. What was it?
I think
What
you
were you
just
just
would be
saying?
like, good job.
Yeah. Right.
You're beautiful.
You're beautiful. How do you do it all?
Yeah. No, it was around the trust
Right, got him.
in people. And I think we've had lots of conversations about this, but like understanding the reality that if you want to grow something, like you need people.
You can't do
Like,
it yourself.
You cannot do this
Yeah.
by yourself.
Right.
And so sort of recognizing that and accepting it, and working on ways in which you can
Scale it.
is important. So
Right. Yeah, because there's something so different about starting a business and then scaling a business.
Yeah.
Way different deals.
yes, for sure. Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, we've created, you know, a job for ourselves, and now we're like on that path of trying to create a business, you know.
Yes. Right.
And we're in it. We're not there yet, though.
Yeah. Right. But you're seeing it's closer than it used to be.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Yeah.
Now back to young John.
Young John, you are so fun.
You are so
You
fun.
are so fun. I think you kind of hit it when you were talking to young John, but
Yeah.
that they're like, I think there's been times that young John could communicate
Oh, for
like
sure.
to either his business partner or the staff that we have around what your vision is, so
Yeah.
that we can implement. Because
Right.
as an integrator, as somebody who is like ready to serve and excited to make the vision come to life, I think that like whenever it comes to fruition in your mind, you just say the word and I'm on it.
Yeah.
So
It's good.
yeah, it's good.
That's good. Okay, last question. How has your marriage changed since 2018? Wait, 17? 18. 2018 to 2025.
Yeah, because it's 16 years total that
you guys
been
are
doing
married.
This. Close to the same.
Yeah, same as us. We're 17.
And it's 2008. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. I think that it's just gotten stronger. And I think that like, it's kind of interesting being in business with your spouse, because you already have life that you're doing together with all your kids and all the things, but then you just have another 8 to 16 hours of time in the business that you're working that
Yeah.
you still are very integrated. I think one thing that we're working on, but it's really my problem, is not bringing business home and trying to set up those boundaries, which is very difficult for me personally.
Especially when you've worked out of your house before.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. And just so to speak to that in our marriage, it's like there's more trust. We know each other better. There's kind of like a secret twin language. Like it's very easy to work with each other. But so I think it's just gotten stronger in that way, but we've had to be careful to stay like intentional about our relationship over the time. So I don't know. I guess that's just a comment on where we are now. Back then, I think it was, I liked you then, I like you now. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't really have much to add to that. I would say all kind of the same things. It is tricky, the dynamic of having, your business partners, where like there is no shutting it off really. Like the conversations can just kind of continue all hours of the day. So, that's been difficult to sort of figure out that balance, but I don't get tired of you. I
don't know. And we have a desk that is shared. I call it the Lady and Tramp desk because it's like, so we sit across from each other. Yeah. And no matter what has happened, even when I was on maternity leave and I had time to reflect on like life and how much I was going to go back to work and all these things, like I was like, whatever we do, if we sell t-shirts or pens, like I just want to do it with John, like whatever we've got going on. If I even do something with dance at some point, like I'm just like, well, John has to be part of it. Like I know that. So.
That's good.
Yeah.
I also think that, Hanna, you've done a good job of letting John lead. And like, I think if you were leading it, it'd probably be a different company than what probably John would. And I think that you've done a really good job of like kind of handing over the reins when I know that like control's a pretty big thing for you. But it's nice when you're married to the guy. So you trust him, like, he's not going to bring that thing to the ground.
Yeah.
And I think the vision that you guys are on is powerful and it's perfect for Eden and Gray.
I think we both recognize the way that we're each wired and like and understand the importance of both of those gifts, the
yin and the yang.
Hannah's definitely more in the weeds on everything and concerned with the details of how stuff is run, but like for me, I'm way more big picture and want to like where are we going to be in 5 years? I don't care where I am today.
Right. But you appreciate those differences.
Yes.
I feel like
and in the beginning, I think I was like, we don't need to talk about like who cares what's happening tomorrow? Like
work with me.
I know.
I mean, let's
it was
wait, what?
Yeah. John was like, and this is the other fun fact. I had t-shirts that looked very much like this. And when it was just mine, he like didn't want a t-shirt, but as soon as he took the name, he was in his gear every day. Yeah. And I was like, what is this? So there are those fun facts about things.
For sure.
But I have to say this, I know we're getting close to wrapping up, but when you were talking about like advice to young Jon and Hanna, like, and even just what you mentioned as far as like allowing John to lead, I can tell you right now that if Eden and Gray interiors was a thing, it would look absolutely nothing like what we have going on. And that I have, when John talks about kind of just building this team and like this aspect of thing, that very much plays to who he is. And I would be happy working in a corner alone, like just, I mean, that's not to say that I don't love what we have and what we're doing, but it's uncomfortable for me. So his like ability to push and climb mountains with his friends and just keep going, I am just like, hitched onto him, like, here we go. So that
where are we going today?
Where are we going today? Yeah. So I am on board.
Keep going.
It is Jon Ship.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, thank you for just kind of unpacking where you're at. Thank you for being, just awesome and impacting other people. And also like just staying on this path, whatever God has to lead you. I think it's been fun just to be kind of like a amazing person with a good front row seat to what you guys are doing because it's awesome. And I feel like you're going to impact more and more people as you go on. So thank you so much for Eden and Gray. Thank you for all the time and effort you've put into it. And I'm so excited to see what happens in the future.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And we love Uncommon Wealth Partners. So plug for you.
Sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you've been listening to the Uncommon Wealth Podcast. Until next time, if you see Hanna, tell her happy birthday.
Yes, please.
Thanks for listening.
That's all for this episode. Brought to you by Uncommon Wealth Partners. Be sure to visit uncommonwealth.com to learn more about our services. Don't miss an episode as we introduce you to inspiring people who are actively pursuing an uncommon life.